Hello, Ron Briggs, Blackmore Vale Honey, and welcome back to the channel. So in this episode we will be finishing off the outside of the honey house. So this will probably be the last episode in this series, although I probably will do one more, which is that when it's all nice and finished and looking pretty, we'll do one more walk round. So we've still got a bit to do though. We've got to get the poly roof on onto the lean-to. We've got to get the pathways done, we've got to get the drainage done, we've got to get the drain pipes and everything else done, as well as the underground drainage. So still lots of digging and lots of back-breaking work. Weather's looking good for the next week or so, so let's get on with it. So there it is, the polycarb roof is on. Now first of all, apologies for not getting any of that on video. We put that up yesterday, and the reason for that is because although they're lightweight, those sheets, you put them in the wind and they become like wind sails, and so I wanted to get all that done in one day and screwed down, bolted down before the day was out. So I didn't know how long it was going to take, whether it would take a couple of hours or whether it would take all day. And in the end, it was the latter. It did take all day. And for once, YouTube couldn't help me, because there wasn't a lot on YouTube about putting that stuff up. And there certainly wasn't a lot on there about the system that I'd chosen to use. Whether that's because, for that reason, that my system is probably going to fail in time, who knows. But here's what we wanted to do. So if you remember, I had the ridge piece. I had some left over from the ridge of the actual honey house, so I wanted to utilise that. So I made a framework to put it on, and then I also ordered some flashing to go on the side as well. A, to finish it off, and B, to help secure it all down. So what I wanted, I couldn't get all from the same place, because when you put these polycarbonate roofs on, you get these you can get these rather fancy ridges, and then I can't remember what they call them, but the bits that join two together, these snap lock ones that snap together. Now I'm sure if you use those it'd be quite easy, but because of using the ridge that I wanted to use, so I wanted to keep the profile quite low. So in the end I settled on what they call these H profiles. I'll show you those in a minute. And they say they're temporary, but to me they look like they'd they're going to do the job certainly for a few years. But when all said and done, I thought, well, actually, I can get away with doing what I want to do, and then a few years down the line, if it does all fail, it wasn't that expensive, so I can replace it if I need to. So what I quickly worked out was that you can get 10mm twin wool or 16mm multi-wool. And for the span that I was having, because the span was bigger than 700, I've got 800 span there, then really you wanted to upgrade to multi-wool, which is 16mm thick. So I had to get 16mm H bars. So on the subject of the actual polycarbonate, I got that from a company called the Polycarbonate Store, which was really good, really impressed with that. So not only was it one of the cheapest, but also if you have it cut to size, which I did, they already put on the top and bottom moisture protection and breathable bit that goes on the end of each one. They already put that on for you, so that's a no-brainer. I didn't have to buy that stuff, I didn't have to fit it, it come done ready to go at a nice reasonable price. The Polycarbonate Store, that was called. But the Polycarbonate Store didn't sell the other bits. I got those from a company, well, I actually got them from Dunelm, but ultimately they come from a company called Clear Amber. So let's have a look at these bits. So here's the H bits I was on about. So if you can see from the end there, you've got the top is longer than the bottom, right? And they are designed for the 16mm, and the 16mm fits in there. The problem I had, however, was that once I got the first one up, trying to get the second one into there without it catching, it seemed to catch all the time, was an absolute nightmare. Just couldn't get it. I'm trying to work off ladders was really, really difficult. So what we had to do in the end was take that one down, and we we laid it out on the driveway, because we've only, it wasn't particularly big, we only had 3 sheets, and it is lightweight, we actually put them together on the driveway first over some dust sheets, and then I put some tape just on the ends of each bit just to stop it falling apart, and then we lifted the whole lot in place, or the 3 panels in place in one go. So we did the back one first, so we lifted that up over the front and then dropped it back at the rear. That was quite simple. Basically, I got a couple of people to give me a hand, and then I was on the ladders and they had a brush each and they were just pushing it and supporting it where it needed to be. So we got it in. It wasn't the most difficult job, but it was quite tricky to get it in. So we got the back one in, we got that one screwed up, and then we put the front one in. The front one was harder than the back one because apparently it says do not walk on them. So to get some of the screws in place meant a lot of sort of hanging onto ridges and leaning out to get it in place. It was quite tricky. I'm sure there's some tradesmen out there who are going to go, oh, you idiot, this is what you needed to do. But there we go. So we got them in. So it's all in, it's all screwed up. The screws I used were some ones designed for Wrigley tin, galvanised sheeting, but they're clear and they got protection. Screws went in, they went in no problem. You might have noticed we've just got a couple of those in there, those supports. I had a builder friend round and he said that even though there's no weight in the roof, so this front triangle has got this piece and the rear triangle is actually connected to the honey house, but these two, because they were having nothing along there and we've got no noggins in, suggested that I just put a couple of pieces across there just to belt and braces and give it some more support. So that's what we've done. We've just put it's 4x1, just a piece of 4x1 on each side, one on each side, and bolted it together. So we've done that. So we got all that in place. I apologise for getting no video in done, but yeah, it was quite a tricky little job to get it all up. But wow, once it's up there, the difference in temperature in there where we're going to be working to outside it is really noticeable. So all that's left to do now is to get this on. So this is just the end trim, and that's just got to go along the end of that. Right, so again, a little bit like the section joining a bit together, the end strip was a little bit problematic, but no, we got there. That's on both sides. So all we've got to do now is just cut off the excess. Just do that. So another beautiful day today. And we'll get out and get back on it on the outside work. So what we're doing today is we are going to, firstly, we're going to dig out roughly along there, dig down and put a foundation in to accept some more blocks. So in effect, we'll have a square of blocks. Well, I'm going to leave that there as wood, and then we'll backfill that with cement eventually. So we'll dig that first, knock some cement up for a footing, and then we'll fill the rest of that up with cement in there to bring that up and flat before we put a slab on top of it. And then, whilst we are knocking up the cement, we will fill the rest of that up to level. Again, we've got a nice Indian sandstone slab to go on top of that. And then the other thing we're going to have to do is, we can see where the footing is because it's slightly lower, but look at it's all covered in mud, so we're going to have to wash that off or scrape that off before we put some blocks on. Probably won't get a chance to do the blocks today, but we'll certainly dig and do the footings, and then we might, if we've got time at the end of the day today, clear that mud out of there, ready to put some blocks on tomorrow. So let's get the work boots on and get on with it. So wow, what a beautiful day that's been today. And you know, I said you get these days where it just all takes a bit of time and you don't get done anywhere near as much as you thought you were going to do. Well, today's been the opposite. Got a lot more done than what we thought we was going to do. So if you remember when I spoke to you this morning, we said that we were going to get, we just wanted to put that footing in on the back there. That's all we wanted to do today, and fill that up with cement. So we filled that up with cement, we got that footing done, and then at the end of the day today we had a bit of muck left. The footing had gone off. Not, you wouldn't really want to be doing much building on it, but certainly enough to put the 2 blocks on. So we got those 2 blocks on. All this is going to be backfilled with cement, and I've got some old bricks and blocks and rubble to get in there. But yeah, we still need to do some pointing and stuff this evening. But yeah, really pleased, got that in. That's that area kind of finished. And then around here, we just wanted to get that filled up. So I haven't knocked up any more cement and still need to put a bit in there. However, we did manage to get the quite a bit of block work done today, which is really cool because I wasn't expecting to get any of that done. So it's Sunday afternoon. We're back on the groundswork. I tell you what, I take my hat off to you grounds workers. What you do is just amazing. My back and my arms are absolutely killing me, and I've done hardly anything. So yeah, I do take my hat off to what you guys do. So where we're at today is we are going to, well, the first thing I've done, as you can see, I've just got the string lines out and I've measured out. So that's where the path's going to go, and then that's where the see where the string line runs down there. So that's this piece in here is going to be where the drive extends to. So we'll be able to reverse up into here to unload supers, and also that there we've got a wood store in there, so unloading wood as well. So it's going to take a little bit of work, not much actually. I'm going to some high spots over here that will need taking down, but other than that I'm hoping it's just a case of put some grids down and put some membrane, some grids, and backfill it. And that's certainly all it'll need here because it's quite flat. So we need to get the edging in along where the string line is, and then we'll put some membrane down, we'll put some gravel grids on, and then we'll just get some stones put in there. So all we're doing is we've got our cutter, and this is perfect because we want to go down about 4 inches, and that is 4 inches. So all we're doing is we're just popping that in, and then just trying to lift the turf as we go. So all we've got to do is follow this line all the way down, this string line, until we get to the end, and then we'll come back the other way. Okay, we didn't get quite as far as I thought we might. Well, that said, I didn't even expect to get any of this dug this morning, really, so that's a bonus. So you see what we've done there, we've cut that, and the gravel board will sit in the middle of that, but it's just not quite low enough yet. So, and I've just got a tiny bit right down the far end to cut out. So what we need to do with that is we now need to do some setting out. So we want the gravel board to stick out the ground about 50 mil, 2 inches. So what we do is I've got some old blocks there, look, which are 50 mil. So we can just wrap some string around them, top and bottom, because that is 50 mil, and then we'll get a nice straight line then when we come to do it. Well, that's definitely warming up now this afternoon. Look at that, no hat and in a t-shirt. That's lovely. And the bees, I've just been down there, look, they're flying really well today and bringing in loads of pollen. So I think we can say spring. Perhaps it's not quite sprung yet. I think we might get caught out. It is only beginning of March, but wow. So what have we been up to? Let's turn you around. So we got the wall finished this morning. Bear in mind it was only those 4.5 blocks to go in. We've still got a bit of pointing to do on there, but we'll just wait for it to settle down and set a little bit. So that's kind of finished now. We've got to put some cement in it's definitely in the back one, and if we've got any left we might come further forward. The step is now in. again, that's looking quite cool. And what we're doing at the moment is we've run that line in there. So it was what, three and a half of the gravel boards. So it's in, it's set out. We've dug the hole. It's going to be even better than that. That is literally just in there loose at the moment, because what I've got to do now is knock up some cement. We'll do a full load, and then what we'll do as we go down, we'll just put the cement on each side, nice little run of, make it nice and wet, the cement, so that it goes underneath as well, and then we'll just straighten it all up and just tap it into place as we go. There it is. That's in, cemented in, and that's pretty cool. We like that. So that's that side done. Tomorrow we'll be back on it, and we'll be doing exactly the same from there along there. So it's been a couple of days. I didn't bother doing any filming yesterday because it was pretty much the same. It was digging holes, and then you can just see that I've got that lot in running up there. So yeah, so it's pretty much the same. So there's no point in you just watching hours of footage of that, because it's no different. But suffice to say, that was a bit easier to do than that one was. Just because it's flat, so it's easy to do. We dug it out, bit of dirt on there, spirit level, got it level, chuck the cement in. So here we are then. We've got to get this drainage in. So the first thing I've done, save myself a few quid, is I got the 110 drainage channel from the local building supplies, but in 6 meters, and then I've just cut a load of slots myself. I just run up with a disc cutter and just cut a load of slots. Didn't take long, and that saved a fair few quid, because that's all we need, because that'll go upwards, and then any water that comes above a level can drop down in that and go away. So I have got some more of that to do, but I'm not sure how much yet. Well, I've got an idea of how much, but I need to measure and use my parts and my bits carefully, because I've got a few offcuts and I'll try and get those used. So we've got the membrane, we've got that cut, we've got some of these pegs ready to knock in the ground and hold them. So the idea now is we're going to run the membrane down to start with, and peg that out, brick, and tape it up and try and stop it blowing away in the wind, and then we'll get some of these pipes on and start joining it all together. So that's not too bad. We got in that relatively easy. In actual fact, it was better than what I thought it was going to be. So what I did was I measured 10 meters of the membrane. That's a waterproof membrane designed specifically for this, so it'll keep the weeds coming up from coming through. So yeah, so that's perfect. So we've got that down first with plenty of space to wrap around the pipe, because that's what we wanted to do, because we don't want dirt getting into the pipe and clogging it all up. So that will filter the dirt and allow it to wash through. And then what we'll do is we'll backfill all of that with stones, with gravel, and that will come right up to probably, it might even come all the way up, certainly where the pegs are. So we've got a cap on that end, you can't see it, then that comes along here to that, which we've got to cut. That's going to be the first, that's where one of the drain pipes is going to go to cover that. So the drain pipe's going to run that way and then down, and the other drain pipe's going to run all the way along there, and I have got enough space on there for the drop. So that runs all the way down here. You saw me do the 6 meters and cut, and then we had to put a join in about here and over there a bit further on. So that's where the join went in, and again you see we've cut the slots into that as well, and then that comes back to here, and there's another one of those there, because that's where the downpipe's going to come. So the downpipe's going to come down there, there'll be a diverter on it to a water butt, and that will go back in there, and then it's going to run round the corner there along there and out that way, and then down to the other side of that there's a soakaway. And my mate's got a labourer who wants a bit of Saturday work, so he's coming out Saturday morning to dig that, which is absolutely perfect. So we need to get that in now, get it all secure, put some mud back in. I'll show you those. Let me show you the pins for that. That's pretty cool. Yeah, so they're the pins. Never used these before. 150mm, and they go through that membrane dead easily. And because they're spiked like that, don't come back out again. Just makes life so much easier. Pins them down. And the reason I bought these, got a box of 100, I think it was. It's not so much for that back, although it has been really helpful doing that. But when I come to do the driveway, I obviously don't want any movement on it at all. So we'll put plenty of those pins in to hold the membrane down. So yeah, onwards and upwards. So 16th of March, not really done much filming because it's been mainly digging, and obviously videos of someone digging is not that entertaining to watch. But I thought I'd have a quick roundup because I've done a few other things. So firstly, we've now got the table in place. Remember, I was cutting the table up and I've put the sink in it. That's all in place and been plumbed, so that's all ready now. What I'm now going to do is I'm going to put 2 doors on the front and fill the side in to create some storage area underneath. I've got a splitter which I'll show you, which is coming onto the tap, because I'm going to have one facing that way and one facing that way, and we'll keep a pipe on for the sink, and the other one for the power washer and filling up buckets and that kind of stuff. So that to do. The observation hive is now almost complete. That's ready to have some bees in it. You'll notice now we've got all this, they're called gravel grids that have gone on place. Now, when you put gravel grids in, you're supposed to have it on a firm base, a build up of some hardcore and some scalpings and level it all, etc. I've not gone down that line. We think that this area around here, well, we know actually because we've seen pictures, used to have stables in it before the extension was built. So all this area, we know from pictures we've seen, was at one point hard standing, and it's obviously been put back to grass. So we know it's really firm on here anyway. And other areas where we've extended a little bit, driveways and stuff, we've just put gravel down and it's been absolutely fine. So for the moment, I've chosen not to put any hardcore or foundation on there, because I don't want that solid, because we do have trouble with water, so I don't want to make that worse. So we've literally gone for, we've just dug it level, taken the most of the turf off, we've backfilled the big holes with some sand and just flattened all that off, and then we've put a membrane down and we've put the gravel grids on top. The gravel grids are quite good, 50 centimetres square, and they just lock into each other. So you've got so that way they've got the grooves, and that way you've got the protrusions, and they just lock together and they cut really easily. So yeah, so that's what they are. So we've got a load of those in place, and the reason we've gone with the gravel grids is just to stop. What we have noticed on the other part of the driveway is that the stones are forever going down the hill, so you're constantly sort of raking them back up again. So this is just to stop them raking down. And also sometimes if the gravel's new and quite deep, it's difficult to push wheelbarrows and things like that over it. So the idea of this is that the stones will come up level with the top of the grid, and it'll create a nice platform to walk on. So time to get the guttering up, but it won't be all of it. I'm going to put the guttering on, but not the downpipes. I've got the stones coming tomorrow, so I want to fill that up first so the pipes aren't in the way, and then we'll get the downpipes fitted. But we can get the rest done, we can get all the guttering on. So guttering, number of different bits that we need. First of all, obviously we need the bit that the downpipe goes into, so that's one of them. And then depending on if that's in the if that's in the middle or it's on an end, as to what we do with it. So both of these are going to be on the end. So this one's on the end of this run, and I've worked it out there is enough to do just one run along the other side. So this other one will be right at the other end. But so one end needs to be capped. I've put the cap, because what I did, I just ordered a load of what I thought I might need when I was ordering all the drainage. But I knew I'd need a bit more, and for some reason I only ordered one end, and that's because at one point I thought this was going to be coming out the middle. I didn't have enough run, but obviously I wanted at that end if at all possible, at the far end, because of the water butt. But there's enough on there for that. So I need to get another, what they call internal end on there. But what I have got is an external end. So that's just fits on the outside of the guttering, because we need that one for the other run of guttering. So we've got one of those. And then we need a number of these brackets. So you need to put one of those on at every maximum of every metre of your run. So yeah, that across there is, I've made it. I didn't put this right on the end because I didn't need to. So I've gone in a little bit, and then that leaves 2 metres on this run, so I can put one in the middle. So that's what we're doing at the moment. What else is there going to need? So other things we're going to need is we're going to need joining brackets. That's for joining 2 bits of guttering together, because the run over there is quite long. So I can't remember what size guttering I got, but we're going to need a couple of those. And brackets for the downpipes when we come to fit them. I got the downpipes, got the guttering, but I'm also going to have to get the little the elbows to bring it all down to where it needs to go. So in order to set it up, first thing is it's quite simple. Use a string line. So I put this bracket on this end high up, and it doesn't really matter if you, as long as you've got the run. So I'm starting at this end high and that end low, because then that gives me a run. So I've put that up high, and I've only put 1 screw in it at the moment. And then over on this one, I put that lower down, and initially I just put the 1 screw on the far end, just 1 screw on the far end. And then what I did was tied a piece of string to that end, so it comes off the top of the bracket, running down to that. I put that this just off of horizontal, so it's up just ever so much like that, and then touch the string line, and then we put the other screw in. So that's now in permanently, and then we've measured the meter, and then let me grab a bracket and I'll show you. So what we've done is we've marked it for our bracket, so that when we hold the bracket up there, it needs to just touch the string line, literally just touch it. And I don't know if you can see, but it's not at vertical, it's off ever so slightly that way, to allow for the run of the bracket. So we just got to get that one screwed in there. So I'll do that. So there we go. So we've got that bracket in now. Now here's a tip. If you're using your drill driver, which I did, put it in most of the way, but then just use a screwdriver to finish, because sometimes a drill driver can be just a bit too aggressive, and if it goes in too much, you can end up splitting your plastic. So just get in so far, then finish off with your hand screwdriver. So you can see that's not on there straight, that's at an angle, but now hopefully you can see that the string line is now at a nice angle to take the water away. So the next thing we need to do is to get the string line off and measure it up and go and cut the guttering. So we have cut the guttering to length, and we've put the end cap on that end, and now we've just got to connect it. So when you fit your guttering, if you put it in so that it's sort of kind of the bottom of it's facing towards you, and then start at the end that's going to accept where the drainage is actually going to go. And if you can, use the clean end, the clean side for this. So if you see, I don't know if you've seen on YouTube when they break break the gutter in half using a standing knife. It looks really cool. I've never been able to manage to do that, so I cut mine with my multi-tool, which leaves one end a bit ragged. So make sure that you do get your sandpaper on there and get those burrs off, because the burrs catch the moss and the leaves and eventually it builds up. So you want this end nice and smooth. And also you can see on here you've actually got the stop. So where this is for the screw is actually the stop, and I think it actually tells you in there to here. So that's where the guttering's going to stop. Look, so all we got to do is in that side, we've just got to push it down now. If I can do this one-handed, and that's it, and that's clipped in. You see now I've put the end cap on there, so that one can just clip in like that. Need 2 hands for that. There we go. And then it's just that middle one to do. Hopefully I can get that from the ladder. There we go. And that's it. So that is that piece of guttering done. Now, that drop on there is way bigger than it needs to be. It doesn't need to be anywhere near that much, but obviously we want the water to go away as quick as it can. So yeah, if you've got the space, you might as well use it. So that's that piece done. Now I need to crack on with the other piece. Okay, so you can see this from there. All we've done is exactly the same as we've done on that end. We've put that bracket up high, and that bracket down low, and we've put the string line in. Now the only difference here is I've got a lot more pieces to put in, and it's best to put all the pieces in before you put the guttering in so you can follow the string line. So the first piece I'm going to put in is a joining bracket. So I know that my guttering is just over 3 meters, 302 centimeters. So on the joining bracket, you can see on there where it's got the thicker piece of plastic, and actually tells you on there where the two join. So you need to butt your 2 pieces of guttering up to that join. So the 302 that I've got for this one is from that joint, which actually is centre, it's exactly bang on centre, to the end. So we'll get that one put in. I've already measured from the end and marked it. So all we need is on that line there, we said about before, just making sure the string touches both sides, which it does. So we'll make it, as you'll mark it, the pencil will be easier. There you go, so that's all the brackets in, and actually to say that we didn't measure this end one, it's actually don't look too bad, does it? So I don't know if I can't get far enough back. I'm hoping you can see the drop on it. You follow the string line. So all we've got to do now is take the string line off and then go and get the first lot of guttering, put it up, I suppose. So still finishing my coffee, so we'll go and do that. Okay, so I've got the first piece of guttering to go up. I've put the end cap on it already, because it's easier to do the end cap at ground level instead of stood up at a ladder. So all we're going to do is just drop it in there loosely like that. Start to slide it around a little bit. Now this end is plenty overlapped where it needs to, but it's that end that needs to go exactly in the middle, in the right place. So we'll make sure that's clipped in there first. This would be a much bigger job if it was on a 2-storey house, wouldn't it? Okay, so that's in there like that. Cheers, that's perfect. Anybody think I know what I'm doing? Okay, sorry, camera ran out of juice, so you You didn't miss much though, you just missed me putting that last little piece of guttering in. Now I have made a mistake in so much that over on, let me show you, when we done this one, if you remember earlier, we put an internal end stop in because it was coming literally straight off the end of that bracket, so we needed an internal end stop. However, this one over here, the guttering needs to run on a little bit further because the actual downpipe's coming down there to the hopper. So, but we need to go a little bit further for the rain that's coming off there. So I need to add a little bit more guttering, which we have cut. That'll just sit in there to the end. However, I need an external stop instead of an internal one. But it's not a problem because I got those last bits from Screwfix, so I'll just take it back and swap it over. But it's easier to fit the end stops when you're not up the ladder. So I'll leave this off for a moment. We'll get the end stop for that tomorrow and we'll just chuck that back in there. So that's that done. Okay, so we have got that first downpipe on, and downpipes are relatively easy to fit. They're a bit fiddly. You could do with a third hand because it all want to fall apart on you whilst you're working. But what I have seen someone do, which I don't recommend, is they've used that solvent weld glue and actually glued it to make life easier for themselves. You really don't need to do that. So let me show you. Let me get the other bits and show you. Okay, so the bits that come from the guttering are these. They're not 45. I can't remember. So they come out of the guttering. These, I can't remember what the size is on them. They're not the 45s and they're not the boots that go on the bottom. They're the other ones. But in essence, when you put two together, it runs a parallel line. Right, so what it does, it gets you around the eaves. So if you look at that in comparison, that's how it gets you around the eaves and back to the wall. Now what you can do is, if you need to, if your eaves are much bigger, you can quite easily put a piece of drain pipe between the two. So you measure it to wherever you need it to get it back to your eaves. For this project here, they could literally go together. And because then the problem is it's all a bit wobbly and they want to fall apart on you whilst you're trying to put it together. But say, don't be tempted to use the solvent weld, because these clips are deliberately designed to be springy, so that if you so you connect one in, then put your pipe in and everything else, it kind of holds it, and then you can put the other in. Let me show you with this. So you get one in. Yeah, and then when the one's in, then you can pinch them a bit tighter to get the other one in, and then that's going nowhere. And the reason you don't really want to glue them together is you will get leaves in there and it will block up. So all you got to do is take off your two brackets. The whole lot will fall apart. You can clean it out quite easily and put it back together again. But if it was glued, you obviously couldn't do that. So we've got that one on. That was relatively simple. Where the brackets go is, for me on this particular wall, is dictated by where these are, because I know that behind these is where there's a batten, so obviously it made sense for them to go in there. So we've got two in. What it means now is the waste pipe from the outside sink is now being cut to the right level, so that is in. So the company Land Drainage, I think it's called, I will check on that for you. But I purchased all of this land drain apart from one length, because my local supplier does them in 6 metre lengths. So even though it's a bit more expensive, it was worth doing. But certainly the 3 metre lengths, all the hoppers, everything else was much cheaper from the company, so I had it delivered. And at the same time, I had a lot of my downpipes and guttering delivered, which is why when I was thinking about it, I deliberately knew that I would need more, but only a few more of the little pieces, which I could get from Screwfix. So absolutely fine, company fine, delivered it, but again, not the company's fault. Again, it was the delivery. The two downpipes, which were the only things, and all the membranes as well were ordered from the same company, but the two downpipes were smashed. So fortunately I spotted that. Delivery driver wrote it all over his thing, spoke to the company, and they said absolutely no problem at all, and they sent 2 new ones out to me. So that was pretty cool. So that downpipe's done. All I've got to do now is the other one, which I will put, because I've got the tools out, I will put something in there. But don't forget, this one's got to be split to go into the water butt. So we'll see what we've got for that. So it's 19th of March. I haven't done an awful lot of recording because it's just been pretty much the same. It's been digging and spreading stones around. As you see from the pile, we've still got more stones to spread around, but we're kind of getting most of it done now. So if I show you first of all around the back, we've got that finished off there, and we've got the stones in the back there. We probably will put another couple of wheelbarrow loads in just to straighten it up. But we wanted to see how much we had first of all. So that's done, and I'll tell you what a difference these gravel grids make. Obviously, as you're aware, the rest of the driveway's all got plenty of stones on it, but when you walk over the deeper parts, you sink into it like you're walking on a beach. But this has got about 50 mil of gravel in the pathway there. And when you walk over it, it's solid because of those grids holding it all together. So really pleased with that. That's okay. So first up, then, I don't know if you remember that I had the wrong end piece because we had to put an extra little piece of guttering on, and the end piece I had was for an internal to go onto the joiner there. So anyway, we've got the right piece now. That's going to be a simple fix. We'll just put that in there like that. Right up to the end because we measured it to go onto the end. So that's it. And all we'll have to do is get a ladder out now because we won't be able to reach, and just pop that on the end. So that's a little job we got to do. So the water butt is actually going in a slightly different position than what it normally would. Let me show you. So normally you have them set up so your downpipe would come down here, go into your water butt, side of your water butt, side by side by side, and so you've got these little indents which are specifically designed for that. You can see one in there, so you've got one on each side. But because of the setup we've got here, we are going to be putting our water butt, our watering can, underneath the water butt there, so it has to face this way. So by facing this way means that the joiner, when it goes on, this being the joiner, is there's not enough space at the back there to get it onto, and it's way too far over there to get it onto. So we are going to have to make a hole in the back around about here to join it onto. Now obviously that's a bit rough and it's not a nice smooth flat surface, but hopefully we'll get away with that by using some of that hybrid silicone, etc. So what we've got in the kit is, this is the actual diverter. So what you would normally do is, if you've placed it to an existing, you'd cut your drain pipe at just the right level to accept this. So drain pipe out the bottom and out the top. This, if you look on the inside, and you see that this piece is a bit raised to the rest of it in there. So the idea is that the water will come down the downpipe into that bit first, out through the pipe and fill up your water butt. When your water butt's filled, this level then rises and the water will then go back over the top and back down the existing drain pipe. So what's important with this then is that this is lower, this here is lower than the top of the water butt. Otherwise, all that's going to happen is, this needs to get some water in here, it's blown away. All that will happen is the water will fill up in the water butt and then pour over the top of the water butt without going back down the drain pipe. So that's the only thing. So what we'll do is we'll get the hole drilled in there for this connecting piece, and then we can then work out from there then where this is going to go, and then we can measure our down pipe. So the first thing is drill a hole at the right level, the right size, and get that fitted. So let's go on and do that. We've had a measure at the end of that, and that's 1 inch. It was 25 mil. So we're literally going to come right off the back here. So we've got a 1 inch drill bit. We're going to drill a 1 inch hole in there, roughly around about there. Right, that'll do. Let's make sure it fits. Where I've got the screws, and I know there's a batten behind that, so that's actually where the level is. So if I make sure this is just below it, that should work. So the first thing we want to do is get one of these pipes cut from the floor level to where it's going to be accepted into that. So we're looking at 1 metre. Good. That's resting on there. Then that's just simply going to sit on there. So now what we need to do, we need to get our top pipe measured. So the top pipe, if you remember we've got 2 of these that go together to give us that sweep to go to the back there. So we obviously need to go from there to where the pipe rests in there. Let's get that measured. That is 93.6. Right, let's go and get that cut. Okay, so we've got the top pipe cut, we've got the bits on the end ready to go on, we've got our clamp going on. This piece is just the cap that goes over the top of the rainwater diverter. And I forgot to say, these rainwater diverters, they can take your any sort of downpipe, or any size downpipe you've got will fit into them. Right, so let's try and wrestle this in. Put you on there first, and I reckon that will come out a bit. There we go. That's good. Okay, so we've put that last little bit of guttering on here. So now we'll just pour some water through and make sure everything's doing what it should be doing. That looks good. So I'm going to pour all this in just to put some weight in that water butt. Perfect. So that worked well. Job's a good one. So that's what the diverter looks like. It's quite secure. Oh, we have got a little bit of a leak out of here, look. So that's not a problem. So what we'll do, we'll whip that off again and we'll just put some more of that silicone in there whilst we've got it out. But, as they say, that is that.
Being so silly, I'm going to tell them what, just about roping. Well done, sir.
So what a difference a day makes weather-wise. Much cooler today. Managed to get into our t-shirt yesterday, but much more overcast. Although interestingly, the bees are still flying today, but not like they were yesterday. So this is it. We've pretty much finished the outside. So just to recap what we've done, we got the perspex on the roof during this episode. That was very straightforward. We're starting to get some decoration on there now. That bee was a gift from my grandson, and that illuminates at night. It's solar power, which is quite nice. So the driveway is all done now. That's looking good. So the drive and the pathway, and like I said before, you can really feel the difference having those gravel grids on there. Thoroughly recommend them. So this side's all done. We've still got a little bit more to do on the observation hive, but other than that, she's done. Along the side, it's looking good. We've sunk those stones into the ground now, so we can mow over the top and we don't get wet feet when we're coming from the house across to the potting shed, which is done. Hindsight's a wonderful thing. What I would like to have done, given opportunity again, we'd moved, when the boys put the floor in, would have made it a metre bigger, because we'd still have had to build the wall around it, but we could have literally just built the wall. Wouldn't have had any of that digging to do. Wouldn't have had, the step would have been nice and simple, because we'd have just done a step the same as the other side. So I've got one more little bit of timber to put in there, and I've got the piece for it. Just remembered I'll get that done. I said before, a little bit of pointing to do in there, but we'll do that when we do the other stuff. I'm not going to buy a whole tub just for that little bit, but we got some repairs to do on others. We got the stones in, got the gravel grids in, we've got the water butt is in. There's some bricks on the top because the wind wants to blow it over till it fills up with some water. We're all done along the back now with all the drainage. The drainage goes off to the soakaway, which is quite cool. So the outside is now done. So there we are then. That is this episode complete, and also it is the end of the series. The outside being the last job we had to do for the honey house. So it's taken a few months, but we got there in the end. Isn't much I'd change. I would, as I said before, I'd have extended the base a little bit bigger the other way by 1 metre, and maybe even a foot this way. That would have saved me a lot of work and a lot of digging and a lot of back-breaking work. I suppose the only other thing is that company, Next Day Catering, I wouldn't use those again, but every other company has been brilliant, and I would use them. Even the guys that delivered the ceiling panels, which kept coming damaged in the delivery process, I'd definitely use the company again, but maybe not if I wanted the 4 metre lengths. But every other company, top drawer, I'd definitely use them again. So yeah, so we're done. So I can tell by the amount of views that I'm getting that you guys are more into the beekeeping side of things than you are into the honey house build, because of the amount of views I've got on the January and February edition of my 1 year in beekeeping. So they're going to continue. We will do one more walk around of this once I've got other bits and pieces up and running, but that'll be from a beekeeping side of things. So thank you so much for joining me for the series. I'm glad to have you along. Hopefully you've got something from it, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Thanks very much.